Well, my name is Katja Nyborg. I work for the Greenlandic Radio News, and I'm here to cover the COP15 and especially follow the Greenlandic delegation, which is a part of the Danish delegation.
And tell us, why are people in Greenland interested in these talks?
Well, for some it's extremely interesting because the ice is melting and it's intervening in their everyday life. Hunters, they can't go on the routes they did for 1,000 years in the north of Greenland especially. They have to kill their dogs. They can't go on the dog sledge anymore because the ice is actually falling apart under them. And the seals that they are hunting, they can't be on the ice anymore. The polar bears, all this stuff I'm sure people heard about. It is affecting the people of Greenland, especially in the north. On the other hand, there's also these other issues in Greenland that climate change does have a quite positive effect, especially in the south, where they can start to farm the land. We had a lot of tourism, people coming up being very concerned about climate change. They want to see it with their own eyes, and they sit and watch the ice melt, so to say. So we have an economy going on that. And then, of course, there's the whole issue about the underground, the minerals, oil, gas, that everybody is speculating about in the Arctic.
So there are changes that have been happening in Greenland, the melting ice that's creating a tourism industry that's important to the Greenland economy.
That also, yes. I think a year ago they put up this route between Baltimore in the States and Ilulissat, which is where the very famous ice fjord is. And people from the States actually came up with a plane that kind of burned I don't know how many tons of CO2 in the air to look at the climate change happening on the ground. So, yeah.
And are the hunters who can no longer hunt, who are actually having to kill their sled dogs, and the seals that are disappearing, are these people who are very concerned? You know, what are they saying in terms of what needs to happen in terms of a global treaty?
Well, they of course want a very ambitious deal that the world society is going to cut emissions and to have a very ambitious deal in regard to how many percentage we need to reduce our CO2 emissions. At the same time, I think it's very important for Greenland not to have a deal where we can't develop our economy, and that would certainly, to develop the economy, we would need to, put more CO2 into the air, which of course is not good if we have a deal where we have to cut emissions with 20%. We can't do that. That's not possible at all.
So there's a contradiction that many of these developing nations are facing. They want to grow economically, but they're also facing constraints that might come out of this treaty. Where are the treaty talks now? We're on the Friday of the second week. How do you see progress? Is there progress being made, in your opinion?
For the Greenlandic people, yes, because our deal will be with Denmark and not in that way with the international society. And yesterday the Premier told us that we actually do have a deal with Denmark. We just need to sign it, both parts. So it depends what kind of deal will come out of it today, but it has to be very, very different from what people are expecting to actually influence in the Greenlandic part of the climate deal. And if it will become a political deal, we won't have a deal in Greenland at all, and then we will have to wait until Mexico next year.
Do you like living in Greenland? You've been there for about a year. Do you like living there?
I do. It's incredibly beautiful, and the nature is breathtaking. You can go out and you can be completely forgotten by humanity because it's so back to the basics. When you're in the nature, you're really on your own, and you really have nothing called society around you. It's so basic, and that's what we have to protect in a deal like this, for sure, and for the Greenlandic people as well.
Is it kind of a shock to come to Copenhagen after living in Greenland?
It certainly is. It's very busy.
In what way does it seem different when you come to Copenhagen?
Well, it's a lot more busy. People are running around all the time. In Greenland, you have time, and time has another dimension in Greenland, because if the weather is bad, you kind of just live your life by that. Then you wait until the next plane, or you stop your life until the weather is better. You just wait, and people are so used to that. In Denmark, if you can't get to where you need to go to, you are complaining to the authorities and saying, I need to get there, I need to get to my meeting, and so on and so forth. But in Greenland, people say, okay, fair enough, that's the weather, I can't do anything about it, I'll have to wait. So.
And where you live in Nuuk, what are some of the changes? I mean, does it feel, are people saying it's literally feeling warmer, the summers are longer, the winters are shorter? What are some of the specific things people are seeing?
Well, they say, I saw this movie the other day with a lot of young people from all over Greenland telling about how they experienced the climate change since they were a kid and until today. That would mean within the last 20, 30 years. Lots of people say that there are less snow, that when they were kids they could play around in the snow and it was a big deal, and today, especially in the south, they don't get as much snow as they did 20, 30 years ago. And the stuff about the ice, that it's not there anymore where it was before, where the water was completely frozen before. Today you can see water all year long. The sea ice is melting away, basically, yeah.
Just tell us what the experience has been reporting here. When did you arrive and what's the work?
Well, I arrived 2 weeks ago, Friday, yeah, and well, in the beginning it was quite easy to get around out here. There was not that many people, and it was a lot of NGOs, a lot of indigenous people, which Greenlanders are as well, doing a lot of stuff, and that was quite easy for us to cover that. The more we got forward, the more difficult it became to actually, as a small media station, to get to the people we wanted to talk to. And then again, our premiere is also always available for us, so that makes it easier. So I don't know if you can use that.
Sure. Have you been getting any reaction from Greenland on your reporting? Do you know how the news is being received?
To be honest, no, I don't. I only know from my editor that they're quite satisfied with our work. We tried to do it like we had the political line in one hand, and then we had all the culture, because the thing is about this big international meeting that Greenland is often in the spot of everything due to the ice. So we had a lot of opportunities to cover stuff with big names and huge events that actually put Greenland right in the middle of stuff, and that made it easier to report on it for us, to be honest.